Yo, back at it again, the family tree. Welcome, cousins. It's been a minute, but we back and we back.
We back.
Hey, it's Key
Hey.
Kane coming to you all the way live. Your favorite country cousin, your favorite Mississippian, and your best friend here with the beautiful and the beautifully talented.
What's up, y'all? It's Ashley FG again with another episode of
The Family Tree Podcast.
Yeah, totally glad to be back in the studio.
Feels
though.
good to be home.
Can you been straight?
I've been straight, man. How you been feeling?
I've been good. I've been good.
Hey.
I've been good. So today we're talking about black music.
Black Music Month.
Everybody loves it.
Everybody. It shaped the entire world. It's undeniable. Like black
Period.
music has shaped the entire world. We create cool.
That's a fact.
Big facts.
That's a fact. And, it's no surprise that there is a month to acknowledge that, right? To embrace black music and black music culture, to celebrate it, to talk about it. And so that's what we want to do here today,
Indeed.
right? So, with the Family Tree Podcast, we're always talking about family, right? So we look at things through the lens of family.
Sure.
So my first question,
Hey,
what are some of the earliest memories of music within your family?
I knew you would ask that question.
Of course.
Beautiful question.
Let's go there.
Some of the earliest music within my family, as far back as I can remember, the Gap Band, Ohio Players, Anita Baker, Michael Jackson.
Who was that? Your mom or your daddy influence?
My mother has been my biggest, and shout out to my mom. Like, my mom has been
Yeah.
the biggest influence to me with music.
Okay.
You know what I mean? My father had an actual singing group. I think with him and two or three other young men, they had like a
Yeah.
group that they sung around town with. When I got older, my pops would share other different music with me, but like my initial like introduction to music, my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when I think about that question, my first thought is like road trips.
Yeah.
Like the way my family is set up, everybody's from Mississippi, but left and went other places. So we have a good portion of family in California. And there was a time when, can you believe we used to drive to California?
That's like 2 days, ain't it?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
We took some time, and it would be hot, okay? I mean, hot. But during those journeys, music, you know what I mean? Like, that was a part of the getting through. That was a part of the enjoyment, the entertainment that we had. Because you think about kids now, they have so many devices when you
Right.
travel. But then it's just like us, toys, books, mama and daddy's, and the 8-track or whatever,
Yes,
But my dad, major Sam Cooke fan. And to
Love
this
Cooke,
day,
yeah.
Sam Cooke, that's my husband. Like, I wish he could sing at my wedding, but it's okay because we're going to play it at my
Come
wedding.
on.
But Sam Cooke and Celine Dion, like those are the two.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. Two very different.
Yes.
Because she's a Canadian singer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I'm your lady. Like they used to love that. And
They used to be on the infomercial like at night.
you are my man. Yep.
Okay.
They had it on repeat in the
Yeah.
car. Sam Cooke, Bring It On Home, Change
Okay.
On Come, all the tunes. But yes, like those are just kind of like my first memories. But when I think about like my mom's, I guess my parents' parents, and their influence. Like you say, your dad, he sung in a group. And my daddy, he wasn't no singer now. He wasn't singing in no groups. But like some of his siblings and cousins, like we have a lot of gospel singers on that side of the family. And it's interesting when I look at my younger cousins, like my cousin Santana, like she's a musician. She's out here singing.
Nice.
And I think about my mom's side, my granddad, he was a saxophonist. So he had a band in the Delta, and they would go and play. And she would tell me about like Christmas Eve at night, he would sit out on the porch and play his saxophone, and like the tunes would just go through the country, and people would come outside, and they would, the older man and wife, they would dance, to my grandfather's melodies.
Nice.
It sounds so good,
Yeah.
It's that simple living, but it's so, I don't know. It just to imagine that, right? To be able to hear a saxophone. When we're living in the city now, we hear cars. We hear gunshots, depending on what side of town you're on.
You know what
right?
side of town you on?
But just to hear music simply like live music, just at dusk, sitting out on your porch. That just sounds like a major vibe that we don't have these days.
We gotta pick that back up because my biggest fear is that this generation, the generation before us, a lot of them are passing away. And a lot of skills and a lot of that music and a lot of that music appreciation is also dying with them.
Come on, appreciation.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like we got to recreate that. I was riding through Jackson recently, and I was just joyriding, high as gas is, right? But I was, I was I was joyriding, and I seen people doing exactly what you just said, though, right? It was some of the older folks, but the fact that they still do it, it was beautiful to see. The simplicity of life centered around, the music and just the fellowship within family. They had the folding chairs outside. You know what I mean? They had the music playing. Rolled by another house, and one lady was outside with her sweat rag, wiping the sweat off her forehead.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Another one had a chair in front of the porch facing the young lady. And it was just like, man, it's so cool what music can do, because they had their music playing too. Like, it's just as good, if not better, than what food can do for people, because music, it heals, it's high frequency. You know what I mean? It can bring us together. Like, it's hard. It can make you move your feet, right? And it's hard to dance and be upset at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So music and that dancing, it brings out the happiness in people.
Yeah.
So like me seeing that the other day or recently, it's like, man, like I'm glad to see people still doing that, because I remember doing that when I growing
saw
up.
a lot of that too this weekend. Father's Day cookouts, Juneteenth cookouts. I just coming through downtown Belhaven area. I saw a lot of people out there listening to music, same thing, and I had the same sentiment.
It brought me back.
Me feel good.
Yeah, I know we enjoying brunching and everything right now, but hey, man, bring it back to the house parties, or the house gatherings, if you will, for more intimate and more of your like close friends and family.
That's my kind of cutting up right there.
You dig what I'm saying? I'd rather do that than go to a club any day. Give me a nice little small intimate gathering of people that I know, love, and trust the most.
Yeah.
And we just have a good time. You know what I mean? Sip your little wine. Throw a little shot back of tequila. Reminisce and have these good stories and play the old records. You know what I mean? Play the electric slide, the cha-cha. You know what I mean? Like all of that. Bring the happy back.
You said something, music appreciation. I want to talk about music in school. Then versus now, because I remember, everybody had the little rusty recorders, and it would just reek down the hall. But doggone it, it taught you so many things, how to play together, discipline. But you're learning music, you're appreciating music. I mean, even as a young child, I went on to learn how to play the piano. I don't still play the piano. I still know how to play the piano. But, like, that was something that, like, my parents wanted to make sure that we were involved in and could appreciate music. But in our schools, a lot of kids who, like, for example, I mean, my mom paid for me to learn how to play the piano. Everyone doesn't have that luxury.
Thanks.
So, when it was a part of school, that also gave students that outlet. Like you said, we know that music has so many benefits for the mind, the body, the soul, etc. But what does music in school look like now? I know you're working in the school system. Can you talk to me about what it looks like now? Is it the same? How is it different?
Ooh, it's definitely not the same. Like I know growing up in elementary school, they would play like clean records like over the intercom, and sometimes in high school we had pep rallies and things like that. The band and the DJ. Yeah. Look, some of y'all might remember when Soulja Boy first came out, hit the Superman. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it was me and two of my partners. Every time we get in the middle of the gym floor, people would look forward to, y'all gonna do the Superman? Every time they played it. Me and my two partners, man, we'll go in the middle of the basketball gym floor, hit the Superman, had everybody going crazy. Like,
oh God, that was you, kind.
That was me.
You
that was
that
I.
Guy?
Yeah. So, but now it's none of that. Like the high school that I was at, they didn't have, and I got on my principal's case. Like I say, them kids ain't have nothing. Like they didn't have a pep rally. I'm like, yo, like these kids need something. Like the more that they can do, the less trouble they get into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. The music, they're into it, but it's more so like the NBA young boy and a lot of the negative spills of music, not necessarily the coming together of music and have a good time. It's like, nah, the NBA, I'ma murk you, right foot creep. Although there's a nice dance to go with that, but if you listen to what he actually saying, he talking about getting down on somebody. So it's like more of that in today's music that's in schools, because they're listening to what's coming out of that environment, and the school is not necessarily setting an environment through music for them to have a more positive experience within that.
And a diverse understanding, you know what I mean, of
That's
music,
good.
because it's not just. I mean, while we appreciate and we know what soul music does, what R&B does, hip hop, rap, but just to be cultured in music in general, like
Yes.
I feel like school should be about creating the whole person. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And music being a part of it. If we don't have certain programs that will, again, like we just talked about, expose these different things or introduce our students to what's out there. I mean, if they leave Jackson, like, what's your true understanding of certain cultures, or
Talking spicy.
certain just parts of life,
Talking spicy. I know for me in my classroom, music, I played jazz every day. They was like, Mr. Kane, why you playing this old people music?
But you know what? I do that on a college level too.
Word.
I got some
I
music.
think they would
going.
have a better appreciation for it though.
And they do.
Because like
Yeah.
the 10th graders I had, they like, dude, like, what you listen to? And then my favorite song by Erykah Badu was Times Are Wasting. And I would play that song every day to the point where they knew the lyrics.
Yeah.
But they still hated the song. I'm like, are you listening to what she's saying? Like, are you getting the message?
Yeah.
But as the year continued to go on, like, some of them actually came up to me with a great appreciation of some of the music, from Jill Scott to Erykah Badu to Gap Band to Tevin Campbell. They knew Can We Talk. They did know that.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, your folks doing you a disservice if y'all don't know at least some of this stuff. But a lot of that stuff they didn't know. Like, they saying Jay-Z is old school. It's like, no, Jay-Z ain't old school. Like,
That ain't old school.
it was like, yeah, that's Beyonce husband, ain't it? I'm like, yeah, but
Dang, not Beyonce's husband.
come on. It's like, dog, y'all being disrespectful.
But that's that lack of knowing,
Yeah.
And I mean, I know some of my major influence, it started at home. But of course, there was a lot of music that I learned at school.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Different, what I'm saying? It's really where I learned all the, trap.
Boosie.
music. I remember walking down the hallway and we were singing like Beyonce, like Trina. Like, yeah, finish the lyrics. You know what I mean? And I would never sing it at my mama's house, right? And I definitely didn't hear it at my mama's house. But just when we talk about the influence of music.
Yeah.
And black music, or just among black people, I always think of music as language, as the expression, as communication. I mean, even if you start just from the beginning, right? It's how we communicated with one another.
For sure.
It's how we, communicated when we were enslaved. You think about the civil rights music. This is where, excuse me, civil rights movement music is where we put a lot of our grievances. A lot of the worries that we bear during that time. And so just fast forward to today, right? Just thinking about some of the challenges. Okay, we know that appropriation is one.
Believe that.
So what are your thoughts on appropriation? Is that something? What are your thoughts? Just leave it at that.
First and foremost, if you're going, sheesh. If you're going to deal with black folks' music, something that we have, it's our modern day hieroglyphics, for one. Like you said, it's a language. It's a part of sign language where we can understand each other at a greater level through rhythm and sound. Appropriating, like, again, hip hop more specifically is a genre known all over the world. It'll be 50 years old in 2023. Not that old of a genre, but has sparked all kind of lifestyles throughout the world. Like
Definitely.
you got Japan trap music. You know what I mean? When I'm out there on the reservoir, you be hearing these white folks jamming Snoop Dogg and all that, and it's like, and I'm usually out there every Sunday. They never really listening to their genres of music, but it's like, you have this privilege and you have the unmitigated gall to step next door to this side and appropriate it, but not necessarily respect us as a people. You know what I mean? We still deal with that in 2022, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But from the hair being braided on that side
Yeah.
to, back then being slim, for on the women being slim, that was like the beauty standard. But now you got white women like doing lip fillers and things of that nature.
Yep.
And then that spills back over into our culture with our African American women to where they get BBLs and, the blonde wigs and, if that's what you truly like, then go for it. But it's like it was influenced by something because of what society is telling you. And appropriation kind of put static in the messages through various mediums, right? That messes with the mindsets of both male and female on the black side. So appropriation is like a dirty filter for your air conditioning at home. Like it's still cool air, but it's not the best air. That makes sense. That's where I'm at with it because it's like, yo, you can't enjoy our culture, but then like disrespect us and keep us outside. But then again, we have the responsibility because I saw recently where it's like, why isn't there a movie on Nat King Cole? Why isn't there a movie on Little Richard? Because something is coming out with Elvis Presley apparently soon or something like that. And it's like he's not the father of rock and roll. Like why y'all not highlighting Little Richard? And they went on to talk about other black entertainers. It's like, I'm honestly, okay, it's me and you, okay, you and I am sick of us like waiting for something that it's kind of like waiting for an apology that we not gonna get.
No, and
Like-
I mean, we have the means, we have the resources.
You have the means now.
We have the people who want to do it
Yeah.
and can do it. Of course, I understand that some things may be on a different scale, but what are we doing it for? Are we doing it for Hollywood? Hollywood for the longest hasn't been the place for black people.
Not at all.
Black stories at all. So there's no stopping to telling our stories. It's just about telling our stories. But I feel you when you say like we can't get caught up in the wait.
Right.
The wait for recognition, the wait for an apology, the wait for acceptance, but to just do it.
Yep.
Another challenge that I know black music has seen over the years, you think about the debate about rap music, right? And its influence. So earlier we were talking about Kendrick Lamar's album, and I've heard people refer to it as like, I feel like, someone once said, I feel like I just sat through his entire therapy session. Like this is him decompressing however many years of therapy. Comparing that to other music, other styles of hip hop, rap that may not be as thought provoking or may not have solutions. I mean, I welcome what Kendrick Lamar did. You know what I mean? For those reasons.
Yeah.
We listen to a lot of rap music, and honestly, what can get us initially is the beat. But then when you start to listen to the words, which we don't always do, and you really understand what people are talking about, what does that influence have on me? What about your mental psyche? Like, that's been the debate for a long time when it comes to hip-hop music.
Yes.
Like, that hip-hop music got these folks out here shooting up everywhere. Is it? Hip-hop
Listen.
music got us out here, disrespecting our women.
Oh my gosh.
Is it?
This is spicy.
Like,
This
what's
get me
up? Let's
excited.
go. Come on.
This
What
get
you
me excited.
thinking, brother? What you thinking?
Listen, man. First and foremost, hip hop is not the reason that it's a whole bunch of crime.
Hip-hop can't carry that weight.
If hip hop cannot carry that weight, if you really think about it, this whole world from the people back then, Alexander the Great, all them folks, wars been happening, cats been killing each other and knocking each other off. People been killing each other over women, to be more specific. You know what I mean? Hip hop just has a magnifying glass over it, just like the rest of black culture in general,
Anything
because
but
our
yeah.
lives are just interesting and because we put a lot of things on display. Now, granted, hip hop, it is said, the first person I've heard say this was Jim Jones, and he said that being a rapper is the most dangerous job right now because we've had multiple rappers die from gun violence, right? In the past couple of years, for real, for real.
Definitely,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
But in the same breath, again, you can't put all of that weight on hip hop. Now, I would say this too. Not only is hip hop being recognized worldwide, but hip hop is the only genre, for real, that can shift and evolve and kind of mold itself. You know what I mean? Like trap music. Some people differentiate rap and hip hop, like
Yeah.
MC, rapper, trapper. You know what I mean? You have those different levels. For those who say that Kendrick Lamar's album is like sitting through his therapy session, no, I disagree with that. I believe, right, it is a reflection piece. Like what Kendrick Lamar, what I'm
Definitely
thinking
that.
he's aiming to do is to get us to actually sit down and look in the mirror of ourselves and like challenge us to have the difficult conversations. Because a lot of what we do when it comes to the beat of a certain record and not listening to the words per se, we're masking a lot of stuff so that we won't necessarily have to deal with that. Like, I'm a word person. All right. Words have literally saved my life. From words of affirmation to me reading words in books to reading hearing certain lyrics in songs. Right? And what got me being on track with actually listening to what a rapper or an artist is saying, from what Tupac said in an interview some years ago when he was like, he said, yo, like hold artists accountable to what they saying. Words do have power. You know, the tongue, you can either speak life or speak death.
Right.
Tupac talked a lot about death. We see what happened. Biggie talked life after death. Like, see what happened. A lot of rappers now talk about death, and we see what's happening. Like, cool. It. Granted, I enjoy. Disclaimer: I enjoy some of the music too, but honestly, there's only so much I can take it at. But I do have a good time. You know what I mean? Like some of
Yeah.
those records, they really are a bop. You know what I mean? But and going back to being misogynistic, I think you mentioned earlier, hip hop has always been that. Like DJ Kool Herc, who was deemed the father of hip hop, it was originally a back to school jam. You know what I mean? That's how hip hop was created in the Bronx of New York,
Yeah.
in the borough. It was a back to school party. And then it just developed from there. Then you get the hip hop, the hibbit to the hip hop, and you don't stop. They was talking about some misogyny things in those songs too,
Yeah.
but it was less identified. Now it's just all out in the open. So I know I said a lot, but hip hop can't carry the weight of, and we can't blame hip hop in a lot of ways. But then again, we do need to hold artists and the genre accountable because a lot of things are happening within our community because a lot of younger kids are influenced by these beats and the stereotypical rapper or rap lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just knowing the influence that music has, I agree that any artist like should be aware of course, what their message is, how they're communicating it, and how it could be received.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like our hope, for the most part, we all want the same things, right? We want our community to continue to progress, right? To, like you talked about with Kendrick Lamar's project, to be able to look inside and become a better person.
Sure.
And I respect that because, a lot of music, a lot of rap music to me, and especially this new stuff, because when I think about my musical taste, it's not new school. I can't keep up. It's way too many new artists with singles, but it's kind of like, one hit wonder and then that's it, or it's, no, I'm totally old school. But I just think that, when it comes to the influence, like we really need to be mindful to what we absorb, because just because somebody's putting something out there doesn't mean that it's for me. You know, even thinking about Drake's new project, right? Like it was a lot of criticism, right, about what he dropped. One, I ain't gonna lie, the cover art, and me and my homegirl talked about this. The cover art was a little misleading because it was definitely giving like
1990s,
Southern, you know what I mean?
Master
like
P,
Big
No
P,
Limit.
yes, you know what I mean? Like with the flashy, gaudy, you know, all of that spray paint, whatever. And it wasn't that. So maybe the cover art will make sense later.
Yeah.
But, you know, like Drake is such an artist that has such a diverse audience. I have to also know that as someone who listens to his music, to realize that every album he drops isn't going to be for me. You know what I mean? But because it's music, and if you can separate the music from the artist, you can find a connection somewhere. It may not even be now, but it may be later, because that's what music can do. That's the power of music.
And you gotta allow artists to be artists and experiment new sounds.
Oh yeah, he know what he doing.
You know what I mean? Y'all gonna end up
he
loving
doing.
that album down the line. Just like even with To Pimp a Butterfly with Kendrick Lamar back in 2015, people didn't gravitate to that album right away.
Yeah.
People had to dig deeper into it later. So, you know, you got things like that happens. But, you know, music is everything. Music grows us up. I think it's beautiful to see the growth in artists, you know, because you're gonna get the ratchets and you're gonna get the ratchet and the righteousness, and I think both of them are necessary. You know what I mean? Even with Kodak Black, you know, I still haven't necessarily tapped into his music, but just kind of listening to what the conversations that have taken place around me, centered around this young brother. You know, his first coming out of his music was more so on the ratchet side, but then they say if you really listen to him, like he really do be saying some stuff. I'm like, cool. I say one day I'm gonna tap in. That day hasn't happened yet.
He's actually a little funny too. Like he has humor.
You actually tap into his music?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can speak more on that, but just kind of seeing the evolution from how he started to how he is now. Just that example of giving an artist space to grow too. Yeah.
And then last, like, you know, these artists, they're human too. You know what I mean? Just like us. And I think sometimes we hold them to a different level, one, because of the power influence that they have. What they do with it is on them. But, you know, they're also human, you know. And music has an influence on them. You know what I mean? And so how they disseminate that is based off of also their perception and interpretation.
For sure.
You know. So, but it's a beautiful thing to watch when we talk about black music. I know we have a little trivia here.
A little trivia.
Just to spice some things up.
You know.
Go ahead and pull something out of there. And what's the first black musical tune that comes to mind based off of that word?
Okay.
And let us know what the word is.
So I got my first piece right here. Let's see what we got. You. The first song I thought about initially is Lloyd featuring Lil Wayne. That record.
You're supposed to sing it, Ken.
Oh, that's right. Damn. How did the chorus go? She's fine too, but I want to. She's fine too, but I want you.
You know what? I bought one of his tapes. It was a bootleg.
Yeah.
From the alley in California some years ago. I think I got like 5 for 25. It was good. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right. Jesus.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, Jesus.
Okay.
I love him. I love when you call your name. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my grandmama's tune. Come on, Jesus. Because let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
Black music ain't black music without gospel. Is that not
That's
weird
a
at
big
all?
fact. A lot of them has been inspired by gospel music. Whenever y'all get a chance, go to the Max Museum in Meridian, Mississippi. You will be amazed at actually how many entertainers that are known worldwide come from Mississippi.
You know what? And I was thinking about the Grammy Museum as well in Cleveland. You know, have you been to the Grammy? That's a nice museum as well.
Okay.
All Mississippi artists, because you think about it, Mississippi is the birthplace. And, you know, like we talked about earlier with Elvis and appropriation and us not getting the recognition for certain movements and you know, certain things we've attributed to music culture and all.
Yeah.
That museum definitely houses all the Mississippi greats.
Okay. I'll be sure to tap in. Thank you for that.
What you got?
So I have love. So many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you'd look at me differently, love.
I love me some music now.
That's one of my favorite artists.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah, I rock with music, man.
All right, we're going to make this the last one.
Let's do
and this
it.
is right on time because my boy is singing tonight. When you look at me, I know you see a 15-year-old
getting his dough back when I was at the studio. Jordan's fresh t-shirt new, and even though these things are true, it's hard work and sometimes I just wanna go home and tell my girl to
Retwist my hair, girl.
retwist my shit.
Yes, Mario.
Yeah,
yes.
man.
Yes, I stole all my brother Mario CDs. I'm looking forward to their verses tonight.
Word, it's gonna
But
be
you
fire.
know what? All in all, black music is the shiznit. Shout
Believe
out to
that.
black music. Black music is beautiful. Black music is
Togetherness,
Black music is healing. Black music is
self-awareness, it's love.
it's all the things.
Yeah.
It's all the things. So appreciate y'all for rocking with us.
Hey, man. What's your
Another-
favorite song that you listening to right now before we get out of here?
One
What's
of my
on
favorite
repeat these
songs
days?
right now?
What's on repeat these days?
One song that's on repeat is it's random. It's Unloyal. It's Summer Walker and Ari Lennox.
Hey, Ari, what's up, beloved?
And what I love about that tune, because I love a lot of jazz inspired music, you
Yeah.
know, and just to hear like the instruments, I mean, the melody, of course they're beautiful singers, but that's really what always attracts me. Like when I find the jazz, and it's crazy, like even though my granddad's not here, I never met him, when I hear that saxophone,
Yeah.
I slick think it's like in me. I'm like, I just get attracted to it.
Nice.
But no, that's one of my songs right now.
Okay.
What about
Dope.
you?
Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Stepper, the whole album has been on repeat.
The whole album.
Yeah, my favorite song of all time is Love Yours by J. Cole. I think I mentioned that before.
We've talked about that one, yeah.
Yeah, so those are things that be on repeat for me. I seen Ari Lennox live before. My friend Joy, her and I went to a concert where Ari was there in the A, and seeing her live was a very special treat.
You know what? I haven't seen her live yet.
And she funny as hell too.
Now I do follow her on social media. You know what I'm saying? And yes, that's what I get. She's
Yeah.
definitely a sis, and I do want to see her live. I'll see Summer
She
Walker
nice.
next week though. So turn me
Okay.
up, Summer. Jasmine is one of my favorite R&B artists. Jasmine Sullivan, just recently saw her in concert.
Hotels.
She'll be back out, you know. But yeah, I'm rocking with the girls heavy. You know,
Good shit.
it's a movement through music for women right now.
I love it.
It's like the return of like good R&B music through women. You think about her, you know, the list goes on and on. But
How is it helping you?
how is it helping me? Well, as a single woman, one that is, I won't say I'm consumed with work, but I work hard.
Call it what it is now.
I work hard. Music is a part of my moment to decompress. So I like to listen to music really when it's time for me to kind of calm down and when I
Okay.
want to disassociate from everything that's in front of me and around me, you know? Like, some people get lost in books. I
Yeah.
get lost in music. I get lost in film. You know, like, I have my escapes. So I think music for me right now is definitely doing that. It's a motivation. You know, there are other songs like there's a song Bliss, Jill Scott. I mean, it's not a new song, but I listen to it a lot, and it's just, you know, woke up in the morning feeling fresh to death. Bliss, yeah.
So blessed.
You know, like, went to sleep stressed, woke up
Refreshed.
I'm blessed.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just different songs appear at different times to motivate me and inspire me and comfort me in different ways.
Jilly from Philly.
Yeah, I rock with you.
I fucks with Jill. Hey man, Black Music Month. You know what I mean? The Family Tree Podcast. Once again, it's Keep Arcane coming to you all the way live. Your favorite country cousin, your favorite Mississippian, and your best friend tapped in with the beautiful and beautifully talented.
Thank y'all so much for rocking with us for yet another episode of
The Family Tree Podcast.
It's your girl Ash Cakes, Ashley FG. It's so funny because I just told y'all my childhood nickname. I don't know where that came from, but until next time.
Peace and blessings, love and respect.